of a word problem is trying to draw the diagram that represents what the story is saying. So I'm going to read it one time, and then the second time I'm going to read it and I'm going to start drawing the pictures that kind of represent the story. So it says Lindsay is standing at the top of Chase Tower, 700 feet above downtown Indianapolis. She's looking down with an angle of depression. That is an important phrase. Of 28 degrees. She sees her friend Arian waving to her in University Park. If they plan to meet in the lobby of Chase Tower to go to lunch, how many feet will Arian have to walk to get to the base of the building? So let's draw it. First, I'm gonna draw a tower, and then I'm gonna draw Lindsay on top. That's Lindsay. And the tower is 700, so I'm gonna put 700 right there. Doesn't have to be a pretty picture, just kind of I just drew Lindsay on top of a tower. When you see angle of depression, what kind of triangle should you draw? Is it an angle facing, is it a triangle going up or an upside down triangle? Upside down triangle. So I'm going to draw me an upside down triangle. Okay. The angle of depression is where her eyes are. So this is where I'm going to put that at the top. So that 28 degrees will go here. And then she says she sees her friend. So let me draw her friend. And her name is Arian. And if Arian is walking to the Chase Tower, so in other words, Lindsay is going to take an elevator and go down. Arian is going to walk across the street. We want to know, what is this distance? So the thing to keep in mind about a triangle is that triangles are just rectangles cut in half. And one thing about rectangles is opposite sides of the rectangle are the same. So if this side is 700, so is this side. And if I'm trying to find this distance, that's the same as this distance. So what I want you to do is label. I'm going to take these off because I don't want these to confuse you. I want you to label the X and the 700. What is opposite, adjacent, and the hypotenuse in relationship to 28 degrees. Because that is going to help you know if it's a sine, a cosine, or a tangent. So we need to figure out, is it opposite, adjacent, or the hypotenuse? Well, we can agree. I feel like you all are really good at determining the hypotenuse. This is the hypotenuse, and we don't know that side, so it's definitely not hypotenuse. What would X be? Adjacent, good. And what about the 700? What would that be? All right, so now this is the hard part. Remember, it's so Katoa. We all got to start memorizing this. Can't keep flipping in them notes. We got to know it. So Katoa. S is sine, C is cosine, T is tangent. so we have O and A. What ratio uses O and A? So which one uses O and A? Tangent. So let's set up our ratio. The tangent of the angle. A lot of times when it's angle of depression, we are going to use tangent. All right, so the tangent of the angle, which is 28, equals opposite over adjacent. All right, let's cross multiply and solve that. So we got two wings. This is one butterfly wing, and this is the other one. I always start with the wing that has the X. So that pink wing is X times the tangent of 28 equals 700 times 1. But X is being multiplied, so we have to divide it by the tangent of 28. So I'm not going to type this in my calculator, but you all type it in and compare your answer with a neighbor. 700 divided by, excuse me, tangent of 28. What you get? You got it backwards. 700 is at the top. That's way too little. $1316.5. Anybody else get that? $1316.5. Okay. That sounds good. All right, let's look at question number 8. All right, Mr. Landscaper needs to do some work around his house this summer, and he finds a great deal on oak trees at Trees R Us. He has a 12-foot rope length to stake from the top of the tree to the ground with an angle of elevation of 25 degrees. How far from the base of the tree does he need to place the stake? All right, so they already gave me a diagram, but I think it's too small, so I'm gonna draw me another one, but you don't have to. This is my tree. So he put a rope here, and then he tied it to the ground to hold it up. Whenever you see angle of elevation, we're gonna draw a triangle that faces up. So the angle of elevation is 25 degrees. The rope is 12 feet. So we're gonna put a 12 right here. And we're asked to find how far from the base. The word base means the bottom. All right, go ahead and label the X and the 12. Figure out what ratio you're gonna use. SOHCAHTOA. Okay, Bailey, what trig ratio did you pick? Sine, cosine, or tangent? I said, what trig ratio did you pick? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Yep. X is adjacent. 12 is your hypotenuse. So we have the cosine of 25 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Go ahead and cross multiply it. And you should get X equals 12 times the cosine of 25. And you just type that in your calculator. All right, let's look at number 9. Oh, it's on the same page, my bad. Okay, so let's figure out, this is my angle. This is my 33-degree angle right here. All right, what is the 18? Is this opposite, adjacent, or the hypotenuse of the 33? Johan, what would you say the 18 is? Adjacent, good. So we're gonna say this is adjacent. And let's do S first. What is S? It's opposite the 90 degrees, so that makes it the hypotenuse. So what am I using if I have adjacent and hypotenuse? All right, so let's set up your equation. It's going to be cosine of 33 equals 18 over S. I really don't like S because it looks like a 5, so be careful so you don't think it's a 5. I'm gonna cross multiply that. So that's my equation. Now I'm gonna solve it. S times the cosine of 33 equals 18. Divide both sides by the cosine of 33, which means that S equals 18 divided by the cosine of 33. So you can go ahead and type that in your calculator, compare your answer to your neighbor. I also have my answer key posted on Canvas too. All right, so now let's look for T. So I already found S, so I'm gonna take that off because I don't need this anymore. Now I'm looking for T. What is T? Well, we already know it has to be the opposite. So now, what trig ratio am I changing to? Because I am looking for the opposite, and they gave me the adjacent. O and A. What's my trig ratio changing to? Which one would that be? Tangent. So let's set up the equation. So we have the tangent of 33 equals, now this is important. What's going to go at the top, T or 18? What'd you say? T. You have to put opposite on top. All right, go ahead and cross multiply. And type that in your calculator. All right, let's go to question 10. So for number 10, we are looking for angles. It says find the measure of an angle. Remember tomorrow, angles are inside, so you need to do the inverse. So that's when you have to hit the green button first. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the first one together. This is the angle that it's asking me to find. 20 is what? Is that adjacent, opposite, or the hypotenuse? And what's 35? So what would that be? Cosine, sine, or tangent? Jada, what you think? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Yep. So x equals, and then you're going to hit the green button first because you need that little -1. And you're going to type in 20 over 35. Type that in your calculator. If you get something really small, that means you didn't hit. Like if you get a number that's a decimal, like less than 1, that means you did not hit the green key first. What you get, Kathy? 55.4? 55.1? Okay, so anybody else get 55? Yep. So it said round to a whole number, so we don't need any decimals. So 55 degrees. Good. All right, let's look at the next one. So now we're trying to find this angle. So the 60 would be hypotenuse, and the 56 would be opposite. So now you're doing an inverse sine. I do not know why I am getting headaches. I think I got some Tylenol. Go ahead and type that in your calculator. No decimal, just round it to a whole number. Demetrius, what you get? 68 degrees. Anybody else get 68?
We're not rounding, right?
No. Wait, what was the number after the 8?
9.9.
It was 68.9. So we're going to round it to 69. Anybody else get 69? All right, good. All right, last one. This is what we're trying to find. Go ahead and label opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. You really just need to label the 17 and the 7. That's all we're concerned with. So, what is the 7? Renaya, what you think the 7 is? So this is my angle. The 7, not the 17. Yep, 7 is opposite. And the 17 is adjacent. So we are going to do what? What are we doing? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Good. You all are doing so much better. Remember when we first started this was rough. We were on a rough road. I was concerned. But now you all are getting it. Guess y'all got a good teacher. Okay. Would it be 17 over 7 or 7 over 17? That's important. All right. And what you get, Maya? 22? Anybody else get 22? All right. Last question. Remember, part 1, I already recorded. I sent that out on Canvas. I'm going to also send this one out on Canvas. So, first we're going to focus on A. So, I'm going to Focus in on this angle. I want you to label your 3 sides. So what would the 65 be? Hypotenuse. What is the 63? According to where it's located to A. Is it next to A or across from A? Next to. And this is opposite. All right, so this is what you have to remember for tomorrow. So, ka, toa. So cosine. Cosine is A over H. So I'm going to write 63 over 65. That's my answer. Done. Don't do anything else. You just write in the fraction. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So what would that be? 16 over 65. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So that would be 16 over 63. So these are my 3 answers. All right. Now I am going to redraw the triangle. So I'm going to redraw it. Doesn't have to be pretty. So my 16 goes here, my 63 goes here, my 65 goes here. And now I'm talking about this angle here, down here. Label your 3 sides again. The hypotenuse will always be 65. But because I'm talking about a different angle, opposite and adjacent flip. And we're just going to write our 3 fractions again. So this is still hypotenuse. What happens to the 63? That changes to what? Opposite. And the 16 is now adjacent. All right, go ahead and write your ratios again. So tangent is O over A. So it's going to be 63 over 16. See how it flips? The tangent of A and the tangent of B, they flip-flop. All right, go ahead and write the last 2. Cosine A over H. Sine O over H. So Tanya, what did you write for the cosine of B? 16 over 65. And then what about the sine of B? Edla, what did you write for the sine of B? 63 over 65. Good job. All right. How do you all feel about memorizing the SOHCAHTOA? Like, do you all think you know that? Like, which is sine, opposite, which one is sine, cosine, and tangent? Make sure you just remember that acronym.